Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. So, we are back in action with our regular Sunday show. अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो जल्दी सब्सक्राइब करिए. And what you're going to hear is a very educated, informed information on this show, on these current topics. So without delay, let's welcome our co-host and Shri Vibhuti Jhaji. Welcome to the show, Vibhuti.
Namaskar. Nice to know that we just met in Jaipur and now we are back in the US, back to the batting pitch, and we are opening the innings. So other people have not joined, so I do not know what happened to them. But सबों को, सारे दर्शकों को दिवाली की शुभकामनाएं. आपने मुझे पूरा आशा और विश्वास है कि आपकी दिवाली अच्छी रही होगी, सुंदर रही होगी और आपने बहुत एंजॉय किया होगा, जैसे कि आदित्य जी ने किया इंडिया में. हमने भी थोड़ा एंजॉय किया इंडिया में, बाकी तो यहाँ पर
इतने पटाखे बज रहे थे उस दिन. आई कांट इवन, मजा आ गया. मुझे लग रहा था कि कोई भी जो भी सोशल मीडिया के लोग हैं जो बोल रहे थे पटाखे मत बजाओ, प्रदूषण होता है, शायद जिन्होंने नहीं बजाया उनके घर में ज्यादा प्रदूषण हुआ, जिन्होंने बजाया उनके घर में प्रदूषण नहीं हुआ.
आप सही कह रहे हैं. उनकी मानसिक प्रदूषण बहुत ही गंदी है. मानसिक प्रदूषण जो है वो सबसे बड़ा प्रदूषण होता है. और one of the things which I definitely tell you, yes, on the day I was leaving, 4:30 बजे 27वें फ्लोर पे हम घर के अपने दोस्त के अपार्टमेंट में थे और फटाका वहां ऊपर आके मेरे कमरे के बगल में फूटा. मुझे नींद खुली.
मैंने फोन किया था मैंने आपको.
उसने फोन किया था मुझे उसी वक्त लगा कि कमाल हो गया यार, यहाँ तक तूने आवाज उठा दी. लेकिन फिर मुझे खुशी हुई इस बात की कि रोज नहीं होता है. और ये जो आपने प्रदूषण वाली बात कही है, ये देखिए, मैं 4 साल पहले से कह रहा हूँ इस बात को. अगर आप देखें तो हमारे दुश्मन जो है ना, हमारे सारे त्योहारों पे अटैक कर रहे हैं. दैट इज व्हाट हैज टू बी रेजिस्टेड. दुनिया की प्रदूषण प्रॉब्लम क्या इंडिया की दिवाली की वजह से है क्या दिल्ली की प्रदूषण प्रॉब्लम दिवाली की वजह से है क्या? तो आप जो है उसके बाद देखो तो आप कृष्ण भगवान का माखन का घड़ा जो है वो चाइल्ड को रिस्क करता है. अगर आप कुछ भी करो, इट इज पोल्यूशन, क्लाइमेट चेंज, उस पर ठोक दिया. देन आई रियलाइज दैट ये तो मजाक है. वो कत्लेआम करते हैं गाय बकरियों का बकरीद पे वगैरह, वो सब ठीक है. क्रिश्चियन करते हैं 4th जुलाई सेलिब्रेशन, उसमें सारे पटाखे छूटते हैं, वो सब ठीक है. लेकिन हमारा दिवाली एक दिन का मामला है, उसमें 1 घंटे वर्ग में उसमें सत्यानाश हो गया. देन यू रियलाइज कि दिस इज अ डिलिबरेट अटैक ऑन अस. दिस इज व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. दैट हैज टू बी रेजिस्टेड एंड फॉट. तो अगर आप कहते हैं कि बैलों को लड़ाना, जो हमारे जलकुड़ी वहां पे होता है केरला में, आई डोंट नो एग्जैक्ट वर्ड फॉर दैट, इट्स अ टॉर्चर ऑफ बफलोज, दे आर रनिंग. अरे जब हत्या करते हो तो वो नहीं है. दैट इज व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. होली इज लाइक फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज, होली इज अ वेस्ट ऑफ वाटर. अरे हर चीज को हमारे में वेस्ट कर दिया, हमारी सेलिब्रेशन को वेस्ट कर दिया. दैट हैज टू बी रेजिस्टेड. सो आई एम विलिंग टू लिव with 2 days of patake than to be suspending that for somebody else's sensitivity who doesn't care for my sensitivity. Let's put it that way.
Actually, आपने प्रदूषण की जब बात करी ना, तो सबसे बड़ा प्रदूषण है कि हमको हमारी जो सभ्यता है उससे ही दूर करने की कोशिश की जा रही है. निरंतर हमको, जैसे मैं लोगों को सुनता हूँ, कभी अपने सनातन धर्म के भाई बहनों को भी सुन रहा हूँ मैं, कि सब लोग बोलते हैं शत्रुबोध खत्म हो गया है. एक्चुअली शत्रुबोध भगाने के लिए एक ही पुस्तक है, भगवत गीता, क्योंकि अर्जुन का भी शत्रुबोध चला गया था अपने रिश्तेदारों के सामने. लेकिन लड़ाई तो फिर उसके बाद गीता सुनने के बाद हुई ना. तो एक ये है. दूसरा ये है कि जो प्रदूषण का जो पूरा जो आर्ग्यूमेंट है प्रदूषण का, वो एक्चुअली जो हमारे मीडिया जो प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है. पहली बात तो ये भूति जी, भारतीय अभी अमेरिकन मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर है, तो जो भी अमेरिकन मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे होगा उसकी वॉइस नेचुरली नहीं रहेगी, क्योंकि उसको कोई और बंद करा सकता है. जैसे आज ये कंट्रोवर्सी हुआ कि एएनआई के वीडियो में, काफी कंट्रोवर्सी हुआ एएनआई के वीडियो का, कि आईएएफ को और बाकी लोगों को काफी उन्होंने मजाक में बात किया कुछ एनालिस्ट ने, विच इज ऑल्सो ए प्रदूषण, कि अपने आप को नीचा दिखाना हर समय. भाई अगर देखिए क्या है कि इंडियन आर्म फोर्सेस जो भी हैं, यू एंड आई नो कि मैंने वहां पे अप्लाई किया था एंड आई वाज नॉट सिलेक्टेड. इफ आई वाज सिलेक्टेड आई वुड नॉट बी इन यूएस, क्योंकि माय फर्स्ट चॉइस वाज इंडियन आर्म फोर्सेस.
राइट,
और इंडियन आर्म फोर्सेस में इतने इंटेलिजेंट लोग हैं, क्या वो इतना कैलकुलेशन नहीं करेंगे कौन सा डेटा ब्रीच होगा कौन सा नहीं होगा?
राइट,
जस्ट इमेजिन, सोचने की बात है ये कि उनके ऊपर इस तरह की बातें करना, वो भी बड़े बड़े एनालिस्ट बातें कर रहे हैं. आई थिंक इट इज फॉर देम टू सी कि प्रदूषण, मानसिक प्रदूषण किधर है. क्योंकि
राइट,
सामाजिक लोग, सामान्य लोगों के पास प्रदूषण नहीं है. सामान्य लोग तो दे आर वेरी लॉयल टू अवर कल्चर एंड अवर थिंग्स. लेकिन ये जो इलीटिस्ट माइंडसेट है ना, वो बहुत प्रॉब्लम है.
राइट।
अच्छा, एक और विषय पे आप बात करें. शरद जी यहाँ पे जुड़ जाएंगे. नमस्कार शरद जी. नमस्कार.
नमस्कार।
दिवाली की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं शरद जी.
हैप्पी दिवाली, दीपावली।
Happy Diwali. You're sounding
हैप्पी
like an
दिवाली.
American.
Are you guys not American Panchayat?
I said you're sounding like an American. I didn't say you are American.
ये अमेरिकन भी है, दोनों ही है. मैंने बात
passport
कर रहा
wise, yeah, but civilization wise नहीं.
That's right.
है. सो शरद जी थोड़ा सा इसमें बताइए.
क्या?
हम लोग डिस्कशन शुरू किया था कि, और विभूति जी ने बड़ा अच्छा पॉइंट उठाया प्रदूषण के ऊपर. और किस तरह हम लोगों को कैंपेन किया जाता है, दिवाली पे पटाखे न बजाए जाएं, होली पे रंगों से न खेला जाए, सूखे रंग यूज किए जाएं, हर जगह होता है. आप इसमें थोड़ा क्या बोलेंगे? उसके बाद हम लोग इलेक्शंस पे आएंगे, इलेक्शन, अमेरिकन इलेक्शंस के ऊपर.
थोड़ा कपड़ा सब सही कर लूं. हाँ, ओके.
हाँ हाँ, समझ जाइए एकदम, आप तो हीरो वैसे भी हैं.
तो श्रोतागण नमस्कार. ये जो आपके एंकर साहब ने टॉपिक मुझे 2 मिनट पहले अभी दिया है, तो मैं थोड़ा सा रिकलेक्ट कर रहा
अरे
हूँ.
भाई, सुबह से लॉन्च किया हुआ है, आप देख पढ़ ही नहीं रहे, क्या करूं मैं?
सो
मैं फोन कर चुका
ओके.
हूँ.
तो इन्होंने प्रदूषण की कुछ बात कही, तो प्रदूषण पे मुझे यही कहना है कि आप लोग सभी लोग आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का नाम सुन रहे होंगे आजकल. चैट जीपीटी बहुत मजा आ रहा होगा यूज करने में, राइट? लेकिन प्रेक्सटल करके एक इंडियन लड़के का बनाया हुआ जो चैट जीपीटी का बाप है, उसको आप लोग यूज नहीं करते हैं. और आप बात करेंगे कि भारत कैसे आगे बढ़े. तो नाउ कमिंग बैक टू पोल्यूशन. देखिए, ये जो जितने भी डेटा फार्मिंग हो रही है वर्ल्ड में, जितना भी सर्वर्स लग रहे हैं, डू यू नो हाउ मच एनर्जी दैट इज गोइंग टू कंज्यूम, एंड एनवायरनमेंट को कैसे ये स्क्रू अप करेंगे, कैसे आपके पीने की पानी को कैसे ये सोखेंगे. आप उसका डेटा एक एक जाके गूगल पे सर्च कीजिए या उसी चैट जीपीटी से बोलिए कि एक सिंपल क्वेरी, ये प्रॉम्प्ट जिसको बोलते हैं, जिससे आपका आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस काम करेगा, उसको रन करने के लिए कितना एनर्जी कंज्यूम होगा. वो देश जो कभी क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन यानी कि एयर कंडीशन की मशीन को लगाने के लिए दुनिया के में एक होल कर दिया अपने ओजोन लेयर पे, आज वो पोल्यूशन नंबर 2, ये आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का जितना भी डेटा फार्म बन रहा है हर जगह, वो कितना एनर्जी आपका कंज्यूम करेगा. उसका आज का डेटा है कि कितने साल तक वो पूरे यूरोप का या पूरे अमेरिका के एनर्जी को सपोर्ट कर सकता है. इस कुछ ऐसा ऐसा वेरी चौंकाने वाला डेटा है. तो पोल्यूशन में एक मेरा पहला वो हो गया कि जो रोते हैं सबसे ज्यादा, वही सबसे ज्यादा इसको क्रिएट कर रहे हैं. बाकी और क्या विषय है? आदित्य जी, आपने क्या टच किया? बिकॉज आई जस्ट जॉइन.
चलिए मैं टॉपिक दूसरा, मैं दूसरा पॉइंट पे आता हूँ. अभी एक एक जैसे अभी बड़ा कंट्रोवर्सी हुआ है एएनआई के वीडियो का, where they have mocked Indian Air Force and other officials for having a Uber tie-up. उस पे भी हम लोग अपने व्यूज, मुझे तो लगता है वो मेरे पर्सनल व्यूज हैं, क्योंकि मेरे सब मित्र हैं, वो सभी लोग मित्र हैं, कुछ को छोड़ के उसमें से. और उनमें से मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि दे शुड नॉट बी. अभी आनंद आनंद जी तो बड़ा क्लियरली बोल दिया है. सो आई, ही सेड दैट ही डिड नॉट मीन, ही जस्ट सेड बिजार. और डेटा सिक्योरिटी के पॉइंट पे बोला है कि बट सो आनंद जी हैज ऑलरेडी सेड, रिलीज अ वीडियो. सो आनंद रंगनाथन जी, थैंक यू. बट बाकी लोगों ने नहीं किया है क्लैरिफिकेशन. दे हैव कॉल्ड नेम्स टू आईएएफ फॉर एंटरिंग टू टाई अप विद उबर. और मुझे लगता है कि वो जो पूरा इंसिडेंट है हैज बीन ब्लोन आउट ऑफ प्रोपोर्शन आल्सो. बट द वर्ड लूज वर्ड्स यूज वर वेरी वेरी पैथेटिक. क्योंकि लोग एज्यूम कर रहे हैं कि आईएएफ के पास इतना दिमाग नहीं है साइबर सिक्योरिटी के लिए, एंड दे आर द मास्टर्स ऑफ साइबर सिक्योरिटी. तो वो शायद आपने देखा नहीं होगा कमेंट, बट विभूति जी ने देखा है शायद उसको. तो उस पर कुछ कमेंट करेंगे तो बताइए.
नहीं, इंडियन आर्मी के प्रोफेशनलिज्म पे अगर कोई भी कमेंट कर रहा है तो वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पर ही कमेंट होना चाहिए कि वो कितना प्रोफेशनल है और कितना वो डोमेन एक्सपर्ट है, क्योंकि इंडियन आर्मी का जो डोमेन एक्सपर्टाइज है वो वर्ल्ड लेवल का है। उबर से टाई अप किया वो मैंने नहीं पढ़ा है, क्या टाई अप किया, क्यों किया? देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग। अगर अगर आजकल आजकल की लड़ाई में ड्रोन का यूज हो रहा है, ड्रोन कुड बी डिलीवर्ड थ्रू दी बॉर्डर पे बैठे हुए एसेट्स, तो उबर्स भी यूज होगा डिफरेंट कारण से। तो शतरंज के बहुत से चाल होते हैं, अगर आपको समझ नहीं आता है तो आप क्रिटिसाइज कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज वो आपकी माइंड की कमजोरी है। लेकिन चूंकि मैंने इस पे नहीं पढ़ा है, इसलिए मैं इस पे ज्यादा कमेंट नहीं कर सकता हूँ। बट ऑल आई कैन से इन इन रैपिंग स्टेटमेंट इज प्रोफेशनलिज्म ऑफ इंडियन आर्मी कैन नॉट बी क्वेश्चन। 4 वॉर जीतने वाली आर्मी है,
No, no,
4
no,
वॉर।
Saraji, I'll just interrupt you here.
हाँ,
Not for any other reason, for the reason this particular topic was discussed in Jaipur, also in Jaipur Dialogue. ये बात आई थी, and General
सॉरी।
Narayan and others had opined कि जो उबर का डेटा बाहर है ना,
जी।
and डेटा बाहर होने से you have the full access to the defense personnel movement.
Correct.
You can track the movement of the defense forces, whether they are doing secret work or otherwise, vacation or otherwise. So you have a scenario कि किसी को breach हो सकता है. So
हाँ।
supposing somebody is targeting Sharad Mohan, who is a lieutenant colonel or brigadier or air marshal or whatever,
हम्म।
वो पता चल गया कि वो वहां है, लड़ाई शुरू हुई है, तो somebody can attack you directly where you are.
Okay.
Breach of data. That's the breach of data is the part. And was it necessary to use Uber? Why not use Ola? Ola is an Indian one. So they said, why don't you use
ओला
Ola
को
instead?
भी क्वेश्चनेबल है, ओला को ओनरशिप भी क्वेश्चनेबल है।
हाँ, वो ओनरशिप है तो देसी ना भैया। हमारे
हम्म।
देश में भी मिर्ची दगाबाजी तो कोई भी कर सकता है, राइट? आपको वो भी पता होगा कि जैसे 26/11 और कारगिल वाली जो लड़ाई हुई थी, एक पत्रकारिता थी जो वहां पे ऑन द लोकेशन वीडियो दिखा रही थी, सारे दुश्मन को फायदा हो रहा था। तो इस बात की चर्चा हो रही है कि एनिमी कैन बी एनीवेयर, बट व्हाई डू आई हैव टू डिस्क्लोज वेयर आई एम? व्हाई एक्सपोज द डेटा
अनलेस
पॉसिबिलिटी?
हाँ, अनलेस अनटिल वो सिविलियन रूप में अगर वो जा रहे हैं तो इंडिया एक बहुत बड़ा देश है, और
राइट, राइट,
बहुत तरीका है उसको जानने का। ऊबर से
करेक्ट,
नहीं जाएंगे तो रिक्शा से भी जाएंगे तो वो पता चल जाएगा। लेकिन अगर वो कवर्टेड ऑपरेशन में है उस समय तो ऑब्वियसली इट हैज टू बी हिडन। सो अगर मैं उस लेवल पे नहीं जान रहा हूँ क्या प्लानिंग है, सोच है, सो कांट कमेंट।
राइट।
बट
So first of all, we have a very prominent guest from Native American community, Andrew Aranda, who has joined us. So welcome, Andrew Aranda, and also happy Native American Heritage Month this month. So all of us are very proud of our Native, and we feel that we are Indians, very closely aligned with the Native American communities in the U.S. So thank you very much for joining today. And Vibhuti and Sharaji, you met them at the International
Right.
Festival.
But I'm not seeing the video. Is he not on? He's not on the screen.
No, he has joined as a comment. He's listening to our.
Okay.
It's Andrew Aranda is there. So now coming to the next topic, which is there, which about the election update. And Acha, I want to comment one thing a little bit on the data security, Vibhuti ji. So even if the servers of AWS or Microsoft or Google or IBM Cloud, they may be located in India, but there is a pipe connection to the country where they originate from. So therefore, the data breach from any of these cloud-hosted platforms who are not owned by the Indian companies is real.
Right.
And it is real, and I totally agree with that. There is but I also know for a fact that there are ways in which through agreements you can control the data access, but it's just agreement. What happens behind the scene? Anybody can move with their sleight of hand, So people are knowing. So anyway, that's a valid concern everyone has, especially the data security for them. Sharad ji and me both are very well versed in cyber security, very well versed. Okay, so now next is the point about the elections update. And before that, I'll slightly touch with the sanctions against India by American state and American treasury against individuals. I think that is a hypocrisy by the American government. that they are putting sanctions while they're supplying weapons to Pakistan. So why should India will not be prompted to put sanctions on American companies? And I see the American decisions will make the defense cooperation much weaker in the future between India and USA. What do you say?
शरद जी से पूछ रहा ना, शरद जी को बोलने दीजिए.
आप बोलिए फिर शरद जी बोलेंगे.
Okay, no problem. I have said this several seasons ago that US is probably hurting itself more by imposing sanctions on other countries. For any dissatisfaction or any policy differences you have, you impose a sanction. You use the threat of sanction and you use sanction as a tool of international relations, which is not okay. It makes an uneven playing ground. Because what happens if I impose sanction on you? That okay, American exports no longer welcome in India. What will America do? Think about it. There is always a retaliation for any policy thing you do. And I have said that this kind of a thing will lead to an international boycott of America, of which you and I are part of this country. So, as a citizen of America, I'm saying don't use a tool that you alone have the right to use, because if others begin to use, then you will not like it. Then you will say democratic violation. So, it's something like, so I am totally against it. India has endured many more sanctions. And then what happens is that you by imposing a sanction like this, because you have difference of opinion with Russia, you make local people unhappy. Remember that it is people begin to think that you are a big bully, you are what you are. You lose respect in fairness and trial. That's the way I look at it. Many people told me, oh, Trump has said that he will impose 10% tariff on India. I said tariff is different than sanction. Tariff is a trade protection, trade and a business settlement negotiation tool. So if supposing Indians are willing to pay for the goods that is coming from America, or Americans are willing to pay whatever goods are coming from India 10% extra, they will pay regardless of that. It is not that the demand supply gets immediately affected, but what happens is that you are protecting your domestic industry. That's why people use tariff as a negotiation tool. But sanction is a one-sided action. And that cannot be a sign of good friendship, particularly when you call that other country a strategic ally and a natural partners. You have common agenda. So for one agenda you begin to treat, there you create a problem. And I think that will not be well received by India. And I know it looks bad on Biden administration too, that just before election you do that. So you are trying to make your opponent look bad, that he will have to deal with it now. So these kind of machinations are not desired. I do not know. I believe there is enough knowledge, enough intelligence to weigh in factors. But if what America did in Bangladesh, which Trump condemned openly just 2 days ago, it reflects poorly on American foreign policy. That you are doing these things as an act of desperation. You are not trying to stop the war. You are telling Ukraine, go and fight till you win, and you are telling Israel, don't fight because you are winning. So people begin to see this as a farcical approach, and at least I am seeing it that way.
So Meghna Agarwal ji, I'll tell you one thing. All American State Department and all the Anglo-Saxon policymakers of USA should know that India will always be a close friend of Russia more than Americans, because Americans play double game of selling weapons to India and also to their enemies, and regularly put sanctions against Indian individuals. Right. Therefore, they will always be, Russia and India will be always closer, come whatever may happen. So Russia-India relationship on the military side is just like American-Israeli relationship on the military side, almost like that. So America is always a secondary military partner to India, secondary, not primary. So that is a fact written on the wall. So if you don't like it, then ignore it. And if I have seen many posts, very aggressive posts, that we can teach India a lesson. Not a single American victory has happened in any war since 1945. American soldiers have not fought any professional army. So, they can try their luck if they want this time. Sharadji, what is your view?
So I will not say that this is American stand. I would still tie it to a government. So Democrat government has actually goofed up their foreign policy with India, especially after Canadians started playing games. Now America has to protect Canada in all respect. So that is why they are making all these type of allegation. Regarding the sanction, I think Indian government spokesman already said, MEA spokesman, that the five individuals, not a government company, but a five individual businessmen, they have not broken the Indian laws. So we do not. So in other way, it's like showing middle finger to the American so-called sanctions. And again, it is not India specific. They have put 100 plus names in that. So that is number one point. The other point is, I would say,
Sharath ji,
as
but एक थोड़ा सा ऐड करूंगा आपके इधर, and you please answer that question also. That there is not a single. Most American sanctions are only for American public and American media. America is still the largest buyer of uranium and rare earth from Russia. Even today,
yeah.
uranium, all the American nuclear plants are working on Russian uranium.
I mean, see, how we see, do we see these type of things only black and white, or there is always a gray? Because strategy means you have to protect your nation, and maybe the policymakers for the larger interest of America uranium kharid rahe hai. But again, coming back to the point which I was saying, uh, there are a lot of good people in America, very sensitive people in America across the party line who are very concerned about the human rights across the world. And I would request them, all of them, that they should definitely see a human right issue of the sanction which they have put on a very neighboring region called Cuba, where people are dying because of the American enforced sanction and the poverty level and the disease and all those kind of things, just because the then government of America had a very bitter fallout with Fidel Castro. You have punished the entire country. And this is not an American founding father way
I
of saying America.
I think
Anybody wants to add? I'm not
I,
done yet.
yeah,
Huh.
please.
Okay, so that is one area which I think we should be very much concerned. Regarding the sanction, yeah, as you mentioned about the Russia, uh, well, the sanction has not worked in favor of America, and there was a voting in for the Cuba sanction, and 187 countries voted in favor of Cuba, saying that American sanctions should be lifted. This has actually affected the human rights situation, and America takes pride in human rights. So American politicians should definitely look into that, and we should be educating our congressman that you guys have fallen into a trap wherein there's no turning back. Regarding the sanction, देखिए, I have written in my book, India-America war, and everything is going as per the template. The American territorial activism or extra जो American interference है, it has. I was not thinking it will start 5 6 years so early. I was thinking it will start, but it has started that quickly. There is going to be a rebuttal. Even a victim, if America thinks that it's a what is that called? What's that syndrome where victims start loving the oppressor?
Stockholm
Stockholm.
syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. America is thinking that every time it will be Stockholm syndrome. It won't be. Victims को इतना मार दोगे कि victims जो all the countries of South is basically the war between the countries of South versus North, right? तो countries of South को इतना मत दबाओ कि your any further pain in the form of sanction or bombarding will not be even a cause of concern for them, and this will be a very very dangerous situation for every American life, whether you are in America or whether you are in anywhere doing business across the world. Soon, American businessmen may be targeted because of this one-sided sanction. And if American businessmen don't travel across the world, our business will be impacted. So policymakers have to think on the larger interest. World is no more a single power, because other power centers have also come up to the speed, both from a capacity perspective. So let's see. It's a bad time actually right now.
I was calculating the PPP, purchasing power parity. 150 rupees in India can get you a good quality meal in a decent restaurant and unlimited quantity. 150 rupees only, which is just $1.5. Where so $1.5 in USA cannot get you a water bottle in a restaurant. Generally, $2 they charge you. So the purchasing power parity in American economy is so overpriced, overrated, that it cannot sustain a middle class America, which is the engine of growth, and which is now becoming like an America is becoming a country of extremely rich or filthy poor. There is no middle class going is disappearing. So now with that being said, विभूति जी थोड़ा बताइए, लोगों को भी बताइए हिंदी में कि अमेरिकन इलेक्शंस का क्या प्रायोरिटीज है, बिकॉज बोथ द कैंपेन्स आर नेक टू नेक नाउ. व्हाट इज द रियल, लाइक हु इज, क्या लग रहा है आपको कौन जीत रहा है, and why the real issues are not being touched? And when you speak about human rights in USA, Native Americans have been fighting for water, food, clean areas, non-intrusive church. I see so many Twitter handles, non-intrusive church, and the even the Bureau of Indian Affairs, another ministry of, like, they are not able to justify or address the Native American concerns. Everybody else's concerns have been discussed in election except Native Americans. Why is that?
Look, नेटिव अमेरिकन्स के बारे में आप बहुत जानते हैं और मैं आपको बहुत बहुत सराहना करता हूं. आई रियली अप्रिशिएट दैट यू नो सो मच अबाउट इट एंड यू आर स्पीकिंग आउट फॉर देम, एंड वी मेट देम एंड वी मेट एंड्रू एंड द एंटायर टीम. Pity is that what do you call, Columbus was looking for us, found them.
That's why no gold, glory, and God.
Right. Columbus was trying to look for us because we were a rich country, and they found them and tortured them. So that said, let's talk about the US election part. And you have a sudden, very strange realization, suddenly, that America do not want to solve the problems. And it's not only America, it's also the problem of democracies, where you want to perpetuate the problem, which is where the politician drives his weight and strength. And your constituent, so long as he's unhappy, he will keep coming to you. If he's happy and satisfied, you solve this problem. Now you have to find a new constituency. That's the nature of the beast called democracy, elections. Sadly or truthfully, that is something that has to be reckoned into the process of calculation of who does what. So 1951 से 1991 में मैं जब यहाँ आया था, when I came here, I have been hearing that same story. War on drugs, war on child sex, pornography, women abuse, comprehensive immigration reforms, war on terror since 9/11. Have we won any war? The answer is no. Why? I'll take a step back. That Lalu Yadav, the former chief minister of Bihar, who, when told that you can have all the money provided you do the work for the state, he told my friend that so long as my constituents are poor and hungry, they will come to vote for me. They will come with a hope that I will do something for them. But if their stomach is full and they are satisfied, they will not vote for me. You do have to understand the nature of politics. That's so expecting the politicians to solve the problem. Yes, I can say wishful thinking, but do they address the situation? They need to. They must, because now we are living in an era driven by technology, that we are talking from 3 different places and people from India are listening to us as well. That is the impact of technology. That I said, you can't hide and you can't lie anymore. So that's what is happening. And the election का जहां तक है, you saw the real clear politics का average बता रहा है कि Trump is leading in 6 of the 11 they consider as the leading states or the toss-up states. So and the odds are that you were said no, you said earlier on. See, 47% Democrats and 40% Republicans, they will vote for their party. They will vote on party line. But it is the middle that will determine, and the middle always goes for policies, middle goes for character, middle goes for the reasons, who is addressing the issues, and on those issues matter. Trump, in my opinion, takes the edge because this candidate of Democrat Party, Kamala Harris, has Kamala Harris, not Kamala Harris. She calls herself Kamala, not Kamala. So she has no leadership stuff in her. She doesn't have the experience. As somebody said, she doesn't even know the difference between demand and supply in economics because she confuses your demand with my supply, and she says both are same. So
कुछ और हो सकती है ना डिमांड सप्लाई में.
So she doesn't know that. And I'm of the opinion that every Indian must open his eyes to see whose policies are helping you. Every constituent must decide that. Not somebody who tells you something to please on your face. In reality, that is actually hurting you. So, this is the main thing that I have with Democrats. We saw that experiment in India. You promise the moon and you deliver nothing. Now, Karnataka in India is an eye opener example of democracy for the rest of the world as a case study. Arvind Kejriwal is an eye opener and a case study where you promise the moon for free and you deliver peanuts. And now you say, oh, we overpromised and we can't deliver. That's what is the Democratic Party doing here. Promising the moon, I will tax you and I to pay somebody else. Are you happy about that? That's the question that you need to ask. So when you do something, there is a cost to that. Understand that. There is a cost to doing things and there is a price you pay. Which end of the economic stick you belong to, you got to figure out. And then you take the decision on that.
आप लोग बहुत अच्छे अच्छे क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहे हैं एंड थैंक यू फॉर ऑल द मेंबर्स एंड सपोर्टर्स ऑफ सेटोलॉजी. और मेरा शरद जी को क्वेश्चन है कि अमेरिका ईवीएम्स को क्यों, पेपर बैलेट को क्यों फॉलो करना चाहता है और अमेरिकन डोमिनियन मशीन्स कितने कंप्रोमाइज्ड हैं. और तीसरा क्वेश्चन है कि क्या हॉलीवुड के स्टार्स नाच नाच के वोट दिला देंगे.
Good questions. Thanks to viewers for asking all those questions. देखिए अमेरिका even though it's a very advanced country technologically, लेकिन ballot पे stick करना when we compare with India, एक light year gap है between Indian advancement of doing election for 900 million people eligible voters. उसमें 60 million vote करते हैं, लेकिन 900 million people are eligible voters in India through an EVM machine spread across the country and geography with different spoken language. America has a language
Indian Sharji, an Indian election commission goes for the last man, even for one man they take the machine to the top of the mountain to get the vote.
Yes, wait, I was coming to that. So it's with that kind of a complexity, and still it's a nearing $5 trillion economy. It still manages such a massive election with very less a problem and very technologically high tech, right? In a country where still literacy rate and universities will be lesser per capita wise compared to America. So America, it's a mirror for America to see, and they can learn from the biggest democracy of the world. Nothing wrong in that. There is no ego. I think we have a good relationship, people to people. So America will definitely learn from Indian way. Second thing is with the ballot voting, it gives advantage to the government in power, right? See, in America, they have burned the postal ballot, which was put into some curbside box, जहाँ पे इन्होंने आग लगा दिया पेंसिल्वेनिया में. Now, which advanced country will have that kind of a setup, right? So, and then So that is one problem. The other question was regarding what was the other question, Aditya ji? One was the
EV.
EVM ho gaya, electoral ballot ho gaya. Since Andrew has joined, I want to add one line before I go to the third question. Andrew, I think for the Native Americans, this election makes no sense because you guys are not part of the election the way it should have been in any democracy. And I would say that, if you have a union or if you have a group, you should ask only two things. Don't ask too much money and all those things. Money they will easily print and give you. But if you want to help your 5 generation down the line, you should ask about the vice presidentship of America is anyway a very ceremonial post, right? Why don't we make a provision in American Constitution where every time a vice president position of any winning government should be a Native American by default? There has to be a nomination process because this country belongs to the Native American. This is the least an America constitution can do for the past mistakes. That is number one. Number two is you need, I don't know what is the population of Native Americans, but you should definitely ask about 5 or 6 Ivy colleges having a dean, at least on alternate basis. A Native American educated person should become a dean of Harvard and Stanford and Columbia, because these universities think tank actually make the American politicians, and the whole policy and everything percolates from there. So unless and until you have a voice, I would sure that out of 100 million or 50 million, whatever is your population, 10, 20 million, there will be 10, 20 smart folks who could not be influenced by Anglo-Saxon way of thinking and who still is very much rooted to their civilizational upbringing, should become dean of these Ivy colleges. This has to be a policy making change across the party line. The third, I think somebody had asked about uh, jihadis interfering into election. See what's happened to the Europe. I just drink some water. Europe has totally, because of their over liberal value system and welcoming everyone. See, they are struggling now to even save their country. And this is where America should be very careful that just to win an election, and this congressmen are putting wrong people in, which will actually change the characteristic of what America founding father thought about America. And this will definitely come and bite, as Miss Hillary Clinton in famous statement that if you have snakes in the backyard, it will bite you. The snakes have now entered the White House and every policy making system of America. And this is where I think America is in danger. It will look very good right now for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, but eventually you have gone on a path of permanent destruction, and you need to be careful about that. I think I covered all the question, Aditya ji, unless I missed something.
So you Hollywood वाला question आपका miss हुआ था. Mankind, you think?
Okay. Let me finish the Hollywood wala.
हाँ.
See, the way the AI generation kids, Gen Z and Gen Alpha and all those kids, they are no more watching movies. So both in India, which has the biggest movie industry, Hollywood and Bollywood, they will be impacted. There are no more heroes coming from the film media. The heroes are all tic tac kind of 2 minutes, 2 second he character, and this is a changing across the globe. It's not only the Anglo-Saxon society which is changing. Even in South, the phone impact, the way big tech has used the sentiment analytics to make these videos, have totally taken away our kids from our life. So there is going to be no more Hollywood and Bollywood in 5 years. Their impact will be minimal. Their business will close, and new business will develop. So this is how I see the impact of technology.
So viewers, when J-Lo cries or any other Hollywood cries, you need to think in your minds like they're actors. They can act at any point of time. Okay. And so just don't get carried away by emotions. India के लिए भी true है, for America also, both for India as well as America. Vibhuti ji, coming to this, the new phenomena of actors, like these actors who can only work on scripts, and they are giving impromptu speeches and talks, and then we have the famous man from Hawaii endorsing them, and who is you know what I'm talking about. So
Name
how
it. Name him.
yeah, Mr. our जो भी है Obama ji. Okay,
Okay.
so tell me one thing, Vibhuti ji, how it makes them more not trustworthy now when Hollywood supports them or Bollywood supports them.
Absolutely correct. Because remember one thing, Hollywood or Bollywood actors, as you rightly said, they get paid for the script they deliver. They are told to act by a director. That's the nature of the beast. One has to understand that. They don't have their mind of their own. They can't even speak one full sentence coherently. So they are driven by their emotions and things like that. So they are, because they have a mass following, so people think that when they will say something, all the followers will go and vote for that. But we are living in a different world altogether now. Everybody knows that the actors are not honest people. We remember what happened in the farmers' agitation in India. We know that they were paid $1 million to make the tweets and say things about the farmers' agitation. And then they were paid money and they also paraded somewhere else. So people now know that they are bought at a price. And I'm here to quote you something which I read today, that Ronald Reagan had once said that politics is called the second oldest profession, but actually it is quite close to the first profession. So let's be clear about that. So these people are maybe the third best, oldest profession, but they are paid, they will do whatever they are paid to do. So I would put it that way.
The
Do not
oldest, the second oldest, and third oldest. Guys, type it here so that we know.
so the point is that I have never valued actors as such, and this is where the bigger other question comes up. We have a tendency to hero worship, right? We have to remember that character and competency are two different things altogether. They have no correlation. You can be a great CEO, but you could be a lousy father. You can be a great father and you'll be lousy at work. It is no correlation because they are totally different yardsticks for measurement for all that part. But we have a general tendency, oh, he is an actor, he must be the greatest. But you do not know that he gives abuses to all his family members all the time behind his back. You do not know that, true or false. This is what we have to understand. Uh, so unless and until you figure that out, you will never know how to deal with it. And I want to tell here something very interesting. That we Hindus have a thing called two words, Purva Paksh and Shatrubodh, which is very much easily defined, which I called it as English understanding, know the nature of the beast. And if you're having a python as a pet, be prepared that one day it will feel hungry and might just strangulate you and swallow you up. But the dog will never do that, right? This is what one has to understand, that every animal has its own nature. And if you are familiar with that, you protect yourself accordingly. If you are running away from a bear, don't climb the tree because the bear knows how to climb the tree. Against lion, you can't climb the tree and save yourself. So you have to understand the nature of the beast is very critical, and that's where it helps. So I would put it this way, to use the American slang, screw the actors from Bollywood or Hollywood. They don't matter. They are only the star powers. They will show you the acting they will do, but no, they are not into it.
Vibhuti ji, I can see stars in the sky and they don't have an attitude.
They don't have an attitude.
So, the Ravi Malhotra ji, are politicians also following written scripts by their hand? Thank you, Ravi Malhotra ji, for being our member. And also, there is a new member today who has joined today, Makki Mula. I like the name Makki Mula. Thank you for joining. So, politicians, you can see most of them cannot speak without a teleprompter. Most of them.
Okay, teleprompters are a recent innovation. Okay, but a politician is something which I learned a long time ago. Politicians are not stupid. They're very smart people.
Very
That's
smart.
the reason Out of 350 million people in America, there are only 500 plus congressmen, senators and congressmen. Out of 1.4 billion people in India, you have 540 members of parliament and one prime minister. Remember that. So they are not stupid people. They have the ability to do things that you and I either don't want to do or we cannot do. So they did something to become the parliamentarians or lawmakers. As I always, as a fidelity chief had once told us in a conference, never underestimate the politician. He is not stupid. He knows what he's doing. At times when they are making stupid statements that you think is stupid, actually they're testing the ground. That is the unofficial polling. When they make a controversial statement, you say, how the hell did he say that? He wanted to see your reaction. So he's always understanding the popular, voters' mind. And if he sees that out of 10 people in the hall, in the sitting, 7 are supporting it, he says, let me do it. If 7 people are saying you're stupid, they don't do it. So politician has to be taken seriously. Teleprompter is don't take it seriously because it controls your speech making. So sometimes people have the tendency to go over emotional in speeches. This particular thing gets controlled. Your speech gets controlled. That's why, yeah.
Vibhuti, I'll add here because by teleprompter and with Sharad ji, आप कभी भी add, please comment in between also, Sharad ji.
Okay.
What I was saying ki my point was something else. Teleprompter use is I totally agree with you. It is for controlling the message communication, but the secondary aspect is that the politician has not really internalized the political issues. And I'm not talking about general politician or good politician. I'm talking about the people who are as a front for some other agenda. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, very, very correct. Because politician is not an expert in every subject.
Correct.
As a result of which, when a subject-specific issue comes around, then it's better to be having a teleprompter. Then you get guided accordingly. You don't make a stupid statement because out of not understanding the challenge. Yes.
So to the viewers, one of our panelists, Vibhuti is also a politician. He has also ran for the election, and we have respect for the politician because politician comes from the society itself, and we are part of that. So they are not, they haven't dropped for some other place. Now, regarding how much, whether they will be influenced by the handlers or not, that is the question on anybody. Whether you are an army man, whether you are a teacher, you can always go against the set ethical moral of a human society, and one of that is a backstabbing. So politicians sometimes tend to be influenced because money plays a very important role in American politics and anywhere also. So if a handler is giving a big check and they think that their constituent and their um, country will not be impacted that much, they compromise with that. So it does happen. Is it right? Definitely not. And that's where people who wants to be in politics should have at least done something in their life good. They should not come into politics to make a career. Ronald Reagan was successful because he was a successful actor. He had already made his money and fortune and name. Now if somebody coming to politics as a startup idea and then thinking of becoming a unicorn, so there is a lot of time. Sometimes society will benefit. There are a lot of good people also came that way, but majority of them will be on a fast track to make money, and this is where a lot of mistakes will happen. That's happening in India as well.
Today, both Sharad ji and Vibhuti ji are on fire. तो मजा आ रहा है मुझे तो बहुत मजा आ रहा
Yeah,
है.
we
Yes.
are on fire, and we have to
Now,
save
which means,
America.
this is called a backhanded compliment, which means other times we were not on fire. Only today we were.
Yeah. And we just finished Diwali. So yesterday I went to Ganesha temple and we had a Diwali firecracker busting. And I was surprised that all the firecrackers came from American market itself. It was made in America, and the amount of smoke it was creating, still the technology has not evolved where the smoke could be, brought down. And our Supreme Court, Indian Supreme Court judges and the NGOs unnecessarily jumps too much whenever Hindus celebrate Diwali in India.
Sharad ji, शरद जी, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का बहुत बहुत अहो भाग्य, उन्होंने अदरवाइज वो कहते कि पटाखों पे एग्जॉस्ट भी लगा दिया करो.
Yeah.
my
So
my one
yeah.
comment on this comment of संदीप बाजवा जी सर जी, एक मिनट, फिर उसके बाद हम इंडो चाइना पे विल टच करेंगे, देन विल रैप इट अप. संदीप जी बाजवा जी, freedom is more generation away from extinction. Understand one thing, freedom of Native Americans was taken away by the Anglo-Saxon settlers. So this Ronald Reagan's quote is only relevant to the Anglo-Saxon settler community. A second comment of mine is, people coming from India have a far better experience of democracy in a real world than most Americans do. So, and therefore, Indian Americans should be promoted by the American government or parties to bring about a change in the democratic ethos of American society. ये मेरा दो कमेंट्स हैं, एंड प्लीज यू कैन ऐड ऑन इट. और मैं क्वेश्चन आपको विभूति जी को होगा कि इंडो चाइना बॉनहोमी जो भी चल रही है, how far you see anyone can trust China, or cannot trust China?
My personal take on this is very easy, very simple. Like back to understanding the nature of the beast. China will never be your friend. Just bear that in mind.
Chinese Communist Party.
Chinese Communist Party, let's not make a distinction there. Please.
Distinction.
This is again, that's where we get swept under an emotion. Oh, Chinese people are fine. It is the Chinese Communist Party that does it. But what other party is there? There is no other party. There's only one party, Chinese Communist Party. No other party is allowed to exist. So you are part of the Chinese Communist Party, whether you like it or not. So unless and until people in China are allowed to have an alternate party, it is China. It is Chinese Communist Party. They don't say only Communist Party is China. They don't say Communist Party of China. They say Chinese Communist Party. So I would say Chinese. I will not mince words here. So long as you do not have somebody else. My thing is something else. You have to totally understand this. Like Pakistan, it's the people of Pakistan are equally responsible for siyasi politicians who are running the show. So people of Pakistan to say, oh, it's our government to government fight, people to people, we are all okay. So I asked them, will you drop the word kafir from your language? Will you drop the word to cut the throat of the non-believer? No, they will not. Then I said, how can I have you as friend? How can I trust you? So India and China, India and Pakistan, India has to come to one recognizing the ugly truth that these two countries are your enemies, virtual enemies. You cannot be friends ever. It will be the might that will eventually draw the boundaries. You have to draw the Lakshman Rekha between the two countries, this far and no further. If we do not take that stand, we will be always failing to do our job. Now, where do these two countries take advantage of? Is the nature of democracy that exists in our country. So we will say, okay, so what if they are like that? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, world is a family, and we have what do you call the second one? Atithi Devo Bhava. Oh, they are all guests of ours. We have to respect them. No, Pakistani actors who are being entertained by Bollywood, they never condemn the Pakistan terrorists who kill Indians. But we Bollywood people, oh, they are our own people. Let them come and do the acting here. What the hell is that?
So
This
Andrew
is where
Aranda,
I think we make
Andrew
a-
Aranda is saying that Native Americans are descendants of people of India. Absolutely right, according to the European gene theory. But by the way, everybody should not trust DNA theory coming from Europe as well as gene theory from Europe, by the way.
Since you digressed on that, so what I want to say here is a very important thing about the native Indian treatment that Columbus and his descendants did to them is that we have to also condemn the policy of imperialism, colonialism, and domination of other people through one mechanism or the other. So now it is multinational corporatism that is capturing the markets and controlling the behavior. So we have to oppose that as well. If you want to reduce the colonization and subjugation of native people, you have to also resist the domination coming from MNCism, as I call it. Thank you.
Okay, I want to add on the China. So I have slightly different view. See, China and India friendship is needed for the global stability. There is no second thought which I have in mind. Now, China will only respect India till India becomes a $7 to $8 trillion economy, because that's how the Chinese mindset are, because they have seen the wealth in last 20 years, which no country, no civilization has seen in that short span. So their whole gene manipulation, which is also based on the environment, is such that they respect only power, and mainly the money. So unless India becomes a $7 to $8 trillion economy, your real friendship with China will always be under suspicion. Second, I see from a very myopic eye, second point, which is, till the Democrats are in the power in America, Chinese will always be anti-India, because Obama, President Obama had given a model to China, saying that instead of all these G7, G20, North Association, NATO, South countries, let us rule the world as G2, which is China and America. And for that, you divide the world half, I divide the world half, and we will play all the games according to that. That backfired. That didn't happen. Thank God, Obama is not in the power, but Obama is pulling the string if the next government comes. And this is where I see a problem for all the countries. And this is where Chinese have also not understood that they cannot be as dominant as America, even though financially they have done wonders. That is my other say. Regarding the Andrew's point that you guys are descendant of the Indian, yes. If you see our skin color, our eyes color, our hair, our puja, our prayer to nature, to sun, to fire, we just cannot imbibe that by reading internet and some scriptures. This is in our genes. It is programmed in our genes, right? Not everybody reads scriptures, even in 1+ billion Indian population, but they do all these kind of things which Native Americans and we resonate so much. So yes, but I don't believe in the migration theory which is given by the Anglo-Saxon people. I have a huge problem, and as Aditya rightly said, the DNA theory is seen as, is like showing a glass with half water, just saying that the glass is half full, whereas they very smartly hide the other aspect. So the analysis of the same data set can have two different view, and this is where I don't agree with the DNA given by the Western scholars, because it is totally to build the Western supremacy, white, and
Absolutely.
not even Western,
Well
church
said.
and white supremacy.
Well
And
said.
this is where we have to be careful. Doesn't mean that everything coming from them should be said. No, I don't agree on that also. Okay. Lastly, is there any other thing? Blah, blah. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Manmohanji, you can get his book on Google platform. So yeah, you can get
Yeah,
Sarojit
you can
on
get
Google.
the book on the Google if you search on the Google, or also in the American bookstore called Barnes and Noble. I've taken
Barnes,
out from Amazon, I think.
Amazon,
So
even.
Barnes and Noble is where you can search my book. Just Google it. You will get the link somewhere.
My last point is to all the viewers is that election is very critical if you are in the US, and also you need to understand that the propaganda behind the critical, to hide the critical faith theory because of conversion activities of the Vatican, is where the DNA theory, genes theory came about. It's all in my book Gold, Glory, and God. And also Vibhuti, one last point I would like to add is that the the whole election process in the US and the politics against India and all these countries, I think it is showing for a big churn. What do you say? After election or before election? What do you say? Sharji, you also can comment, please.
The, yeah, the churn. Who
You
is
go ahead.
this?
You go ahead. You go ahead.
You took, okay. Yes, I see a lot of churn happening. There's a lot of regulatory churn will happen. Now, the way the Anglo-Saxon society has set up, that Europe is going to be a regulatory body, right? All the regulation, human rights, financial, democratic index, all those index. So all the regulation which a modern society can think is given to Europeans, and the military power is given to America, right? So this is the very bonhomie they have come out with, right? Or rather, we have come out with. But so after this election, if Trump wins the election, there is going to be a very America-centric approach, which will impact the European say on all kinds of regulation, which they keep on putting on the countries of South and Asia. So that is one area I definitely see. And in a lighter note, well, one Indian smart-looking guy called Rajiv Gandhi, our prime minister, went to Italy, went to West and got an Italian, and then it's history in India. Similarly, in America, an Italian Columbus came to America, and Native Americans have still not overcome that. So we both are actually related that way. So again, that was a humor. Please take it as a wit if you're a Congress
Nancy
supporter.
Pelosi as well as Sonia Gandhi.
And Christopher Columbus, he was Italian.
It's an Italian pasta menace, okay? So it's too much pasta.
All right.
Vibhuti, roti is better than pasta. Have roti, no pasta.
Pasta, ravioli, whatever, linguine.
Oh my God, linguine, fettuccine. Bacho bhai, usse bacho. Dal chawal is the best.
Mani, I will make a couple of observations here. For India to become American partner, US has to work overtime for that, because they follow a duplicitous policies, and that somewhere along the line, the trust is very, very difficult to have. That's one. Number two, this election, now this is important for everybody to know, because next time we will talk is next Sunday after the election results are out. So before you go to vote, particularly requesting the Indian Americans living here, open your eyes, look at the policies of each party and each candidate, and then decide to vote. Be selfish. Whose policies are more favorable to me? That's the consideration that you need to have. Unfortunately, Kamala, who I still call Kamala, but she has abandoned her name as Kamala, right? She has abandoned her Indianness, regardless of how much soever we may become sentimental about her name, Kamala. Then remember, there is a Vivek, there is a Tulsi on the other side as well, and there is a Usha on the other side as well. Don't ignore that name, but consider whose policies favor you the most. But here is a dangerous part. Kamala Harris is on record telling that she is driven by Pramila Jaipals of the world and Ilhan Omars of the world, and a Pakistani guy who is driving their Kashmir policy and India policy. It's a total hate Modi policy. Kamala Harris was the state senator when she clashed with External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, by insisting that she wants Pramila Jaipal to be in that senatorial committee meeting, which Jaishankar refused. Politicians don't forget these slightings. So Kamala Harris has a baggage insofar as India is concerned. Her advisors are terrible. And bear in one thing in mind, very, very, very big thing. Every single thing that is anti-Hindu, anti-India, anti-us has been conceived, imagined, planned, and executed in all Democrat-run states, be it my New York, be it California, be it Washington. Resolutions, laws that have been done against India have been done by Democratic Party. And that realization has come about because people like us are asking this question, not challenging your right to vote. Vote whoever you want, but make sure that your vote matters and your vote doesn't hurt you. If you don't take that into account, you are going to hurt yourself. Other than Trump, some people have told me, some Indians have told me, oh, he has a foul mouth. Okay, he has a foul mouth, but that's the way it is. Kamala Harris, is her giggling a reason for you to not vote for her? I think not. Her laughter must not be the reason that you don't vote for her, but she has no policy. Have you ever heard her speak? And as both of us, we all talked about, she reads from the script insofar as policy is concerned. Democratic Party has no policies. They have agendas. So they have an agenda to bring illegal immigrants, making you and I look bad as an immigrant. Think about it, because they become their vote bank. They always work on divisive agenda. And the last thing, Kamala Harris, a Democratic Party, they are out to destroy family as a unit. Keep that in mind. Their entire ideology is driven by communistic philosophy, where family means nothing. And that's what is important for you to know. That can you imagine, you, Aditya, you live in California. If your child was less than 12 or 18 years of age and he volunteered for gender change, you have no right to interfere there. Your child will be taken away by school. Your education is all driven by school. You have no right. So they are taking over parental right and parental control over children. Because for us, children are not accidental tourists in our house. They are part of a family institution, family growth that we create about. That's what we have to keep in mind. And I would say that every Indian, every immigrant must know, for us, family is a big thing, right? And we have to protect our family, come hell or high water. These are my final words. Go and vote. You get the government that you deserve. You choose yours, I'll choose mine.
My appeal to all the people who are watching is, do like, share, subscribe to the channel, do support us. The second thing I would like to say before ending it is, let truth win. And when the truth wins, all of us are happier. And understand one thing, the happiness of the society is directly the politicians that you elect. Unfortunately, that's the part that you have no choice left to choose between one or the other. May not be the most ideal, but choose the better one, especially that which is not endorsed by actors.
Thank you.
If someone is endorsed by actors, that guy must be an actor too.
Yeah. And you use a very nice things, prevail the truth. And I always end my shows on Jaipur Dialogue USA with a call to Satyameva Jayate. Truth will triumph only if you stand up for it and fight for it. Truth by itself will not win.
And
Thank you.
Sattology means science of truth, the study of truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you, Sharad Mohanji. Thank you, Bhuti ji, and thank you all the wonderful panelists, other guests also, and Andrew Aranda. And next time we'll see more participation from all of you on the next Sunday, American Panchayat. So please do join American Panchayat next week. Namaste.